Welcome to the North Carolina Education Innovation Lab 2021. Please welcome Best NC Board Chair, Walter McDowell.
Good morning and welcome to the 2021 North Carolina Education Innovation Lab. We had hoped to be together this year, but are excited to present a hybrid format with most of our panelists participating in person. North Carolina STRIDE stands for North Carolina Strategic Teacher Recruitment with Intentionality, Diversity, and Excellence. Many of you have been on this journey since early 2020, before the world turned upside down. But you persevered because you knew that the pandemic was going to increase our need for exceptional educators. As Brenda will highlight in a few moments, your plan is already paying off. The state budget that was approved a few weeks ago includes increased funding for all of the best priorities. I want to thank our friends at SAS who stretched their technological capacity to make this hybrid event possible. And thanks to the Best NC staff for planning an exciting day and preparing the kits that you received in the mail. And most important, I want to thank each of you for putting together this extraordinary teacher recruitment action plan. And I encourage each of you to continue this work and to take it into your communities so that we can move from plan into action. Let's have a great day. And now I'm pleased to introduce the President and Chief Executive Officer of BEST, Brenda Berg.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you. And good morning, everyone. As Walter said, I'm Brenda Berg, CEO of Best NC, but most important, I am part of the NC STRIDE planning team, and I'm so excited to welcome you today to the SAS campus, albeit virtual for our attendees. And I'm hoping that we can see you in person next year, but this has been such a space of creativity and engagement for many, many years, and we're just thrilled to be back here on campus. Before we begin, I do want to give special thanks to the planning team. Many of the planning team members are here today, both on panels and here in our limited audience. Each of these planning team members and about 100 working group members put together and brought their unique perspectives to this work for NC STRIDE. This year's and you can find the planning team on the website as well. This year's Innovation Lab is phase 4 of an important conversation about teacher recruitment that began in February of 2020. And then the world pivoted. And yet the planning team decided that this was urgent before the pandemic, and it was going to be more urgent after the pandemic to work on focusing extraordinary teachers. And so they put together this action plan focused on teachers, but laser focused on what that means for students. I want to lift up also that before NC STRIDE, in 2019, there was 2 years of work by an extraordinary group of educators called First in Teaching Educators, or FIT Leaders. And together, in this very space, we put together the FIT Leaders Roadmap. It's a 10-part strategy of what does it look like to be treated like a professional as an educator in North Carolina. And that work feeds into this work because what's the point of recruitment if we don't have retention? So we're very pleased that this work is building on that work. And as we embark on another full day of learning and listening and sharing, I'm thrilled to know that our working groups and our innovation labs aren't just talk. They include difficult discussions that lead to real actions. And that happens when each of you engage share your important perspectives, make good ideas great, and as Walter said, turn plans into actions. For example, the FIT roadmap work led to the creation of Teach NC. Teach NC will be a focus today in our spotlight. Hot off the press, we have new data for the first 2 years of Teach NC. 2,000 Teach NC users of over 10,000, by the way, Teach NC users, 2,000 users of Teach NC have already reported that they have now gone from curious about teaching into the classroom. That classroom could be an ed prep program, it could be a K-12 classroom, and in many cases it's both a K-12 classroom and an ed prep program. 2,000. We can't do that without the partnership that Teach NC had from the very beginning with our school districts and with our ed prep programs and with the state of North Carolina. So that work really truly moved from plan into action. So let's also review how we got where we are with NC Stride. You should have the report. It should have come in your tool, in your kit. It's also available online. We started with 5 gateways into the teaching profession. What we wanted to figure out is every single educator, maybe not in this order, comes into the profession having gone through these 5 gateways. And we examined then what are the barriers to each of these gateways. And out of those conversations, we created a massive list of recommendations. I think it was over 500 recommendations that we consolidated. From that work, the working group identified 8 primary recommendations, 20 strategies, and over 150 specific actions. Now, obviously, we can't tackle 150 actions all at once, and so together we identified 5 key strategies that if we work on these quickly, we can very quickly make the other strategies and actions more doable. And that's why these 5 key priorities are the focus of today's work. And as Walter mentioned and I alluded to, we're already seeing results. Out of these 5 strategic priorities, one is to have increased vacancy data, and one is to have a teacher recruitment entity. Both are seen in the budget. One is new reporting requirements for teacher vacancy data, and one is the official establishment of a Teach NC position at DPI, which is one step closer to having a teacher recruitment entity at DPI. So hopefully you see this as I do as further evidence that our work is moving from plan into action very quickly, and our work is important. Your engagement is important. And ultimately, improving teacher recruitment is about each of us doing our part toward this shared vision. That's why in the plan, there is a crosswalk in Appendix C, so please take a look at Appendix C, and it's by stakeholders. So you can see as your stakeholder group how you can engage in this work. So please take a moment to do that, and so we can get a sense of which stakeholders we have online with us. If you can, please complete the Zoom poll that's about to pop up on your screen. I'll give you a minute. All right. Thank you for that. Do we have the results? Okay. We'll get them later. So thank you for doing that. Please, again, take a look at Appendix C, and please share that with your stakeholder group, with your network. Another handy appendix in the plan is that we did a crosswalk with the Governor's Drive Task Force recommendations for teacher diversity. You can find that in Appendix D. It's really important to see that these efforts are aligned and they're working together. And I'd also like to share that this is the Governor's Drive Task Force, and the Governor went ahead and sent his regards for us today. So let's hear his welcome remarks for us.
Hi, everybody. Governor Roy Cooper here. Welcome to the North Carolina Education Innovation Lab. North Carolina has the best teachers, administrators, and school staff in the world, and I'm grateful for their dedication to our students. No matter what challenges our state faces, our educators are prepared to go above and beyond for our students. And we've seen that clearly during the pandemic. And we know many of the challenges our students have faced during the last 19 months were already there and magnified by COVID. We need to ensure that every student has access to a sound basic education. Our Constitution demands it. And we need to do better at attracting teachers and keeping them with higher pay and more respect for them and their profession. Thanks for being here today, and I look forward to working together to strengthen our schools across the state.
Thank you, Governor Cooper. We so appreciate your support for teacher recruitment and for this effort. So, onward to the plan for today. Please take a look at the agenda. I will not go into this in detail, but you do have the agenda and your program kit that came in your welcome kit. Also, there should be a link in the chat to our landing page that includes both the program with the agenda as well as the action plan. Hopefully, if you registered early enough, you received a kit in the mail with the action plan, the program, and a few goodies, maybe a few props. We figured all of us have gotten pretty proficient at Zoom and sometimes played around with those little fun items, but we decided to go analog. So if you have your mustache, maybe your crown, please hold on to these. We have an opportunity to cheer on the folks who are on our panels. So keep these with you, and we will be asking you to use them throughout the day. And going from there to norms, we have a list of norms, the same ones that we do normally when we're in person. First, be present. We will minimize distractions, but please be present and stay focused as much as you can. I know this is Zoom. Participate. We will try to participate like we would in face-to-face meetings as much as possible. We will be on video whenever possible. I know I love having just Brenda Berg up on a black screen, but if you can, please be present on camera as much as possible. Please use the chat box and the Zoom function features to communicate with people in the room. Support productive collaboration. I always love the yes and conversations that we should be having in this room. Share airtime equitably. Invite others to speak when possible, even in the chat. Ensure a safe space. Please welcome new ideas, even those that make us uncomfortable. It's those ideas that are helping push the thinking forward often. We will not share or post on social media those statements or questions. And have grace. Remember, we understand that there are additional challenges with being virtual, even being hybrid, but please have some grace. And then we ask you keep participant conversations in confidence to create a safe space for dialogue. We encourage you to share positive Innovation Lab learnings and takeaways using the hashtags NCEdLab2021 and NCStride, hashtag NCStride. Okay, just a few more logistical points. First, the panels will be recorded and they will be shared online, but again, your comments will be held in confidence. During the upcoming panel discussions, you can submit your questions in the chat and they will be relayed to the monitors. Please note, the breakout rooms in the afternoon will not be recorded, but you will be submitting ideas and thoughts during those conversations, and they will be preserved for feedback to the licensure redesign work. We will also post throughout the day a series of questions. We want your thoughts throughout this day coming from your perspective and your thinking on these key 5 strategies. So please engage, please answer those questions. They're coming usually at the end of each of the panels. And I know it's a long day, but we are ending with an incredible panel at 1:30 where we're talking about this licensure redesign. It is a massive undertaking for the Pepsi committee, and the subcommittee chairs have all come here in person because they want your perspective, they want your input. So please make sure that you're staying throughout the day, that you're staying for that 1:30 panel. There will be breakout rooms at the end of that and opportunities to really engage with the Pepsi chairs on this important conversation about teacher licensure. All the logistics are done. With that, let's get started. I am thrilled to introduce our first panel because it's data. No. So our first conversation will be about teacher vacancy data and the prospect of establishing a teacher recruitment entity at DPI. So I will hand things off to our planning team member, esteemed Tom Tomberlin, the Director of Educator Recruitment and Support at DPI, and he will introduce his co-panelists. Thank you for being here. Let's get this day started.